Hi, Gloria Lybecker here. You know, in my lifetime, I've really noticed that stress can be insidious. As aware as our cultures may seem to be about stress interrupting our ability to enjoy life, I really wonder how many people truly understand the importance of attuning to the emotional subtleties of stress in order for it to dissipate. My husband and I noticed that when our youngest son, Rylan, started kindergarten at the age of 5, he would cling to me when separating. And when I returned, he initially greeted me with desperate relief until we were on our way home. Then in the car, he expressed loud, angry outbursts of energy, and I needed to pull over to the side of the road to gently hold and soothe him repeatedly. I can remember feeling shocked. I could feel shame and a lot of confusion in my own body. I was mystified by the perplexing rages my son experienced when transitioning. Over time, I learned that when we perceive danger in our environment, the way a child does when separating from a parent, the lack of safety amps up a gradual stress response that affects the whole body. When we feel safe, we can be calm. We can self-soothe and engage with our environment. And as soon as we start to experience our world as dangerous, our sympathetic-adrenal system mobilizes us for fight and flight behaviors. While we can often interpret anger negatively, it's really a positive response. It supplies us energy to overcome obstacles. When there is no perception, when we perceive there is no hope of safety, for example, when a child perceives the parent is lost to them, then our primitive state of alarmed aloneness in our parasympathetic response. Hey, Polly, that's my little dog. This is a state of pure life preservation with no extra energy available. Studies show that the emotional responses of sadness and shame are associated with problems in coping and reflect a perceived lack of control over a situation. Get the girl. That's a good girl. Yeah. Come here. But she's not ready to come yet. Oh, well, so children who show up differently, like Rylan did, they may have nervous systems that repeatedly respond to experiences that others perceive as neutral, as a perception of danger or life threat. And as they experience this shift within their system, they move through the branches of the vagal nerve. And under highly stressed situations, there's an oscillation between that sympathetic adrenal system, the fight, and then also the freeze system that exhibits itself as rage. And this creates a state of extreme physiological stress, similar to the strain on a vehicle if you hit both the gas and the brake pedals. They're slammed on at the same time. So it's important to note the distinction between anger and rage, because rage is much more intense. The behaviors are not directed towards overcoming an obstacle, and the absence of control is reflected. Until the neuroception of safety, which is actually perceived below the conscious level of awareness, until that begins to be restored, these children simply are unable to connect with others in order to regulate their system. Because their autonomic nervous systems are still maturing, they need sustained interpersonal connection to find and maintain a neuroception of safety. There was a research study called the infant strange situation, which revealed that 1-year-olds who didn't cry for their mommy when she left the room had equally high levels of stress hormones or cortisol to those who did. And at this young age, they had already learned hopelessness. and moved into the shutdown system. Yet, because they do not appear to be upset, they're unlikely to receive the emotional response they need when experiencing stress. This can become a pattern for people of all ages, not just one-year-olds. Studies do reveal that if a child's need for comfort is not met with emotional responsiveness and soothing, the autonomic nervous system over time can become wired for both hyperarousal or hypoarousal. Your child needs you, or those they are with, to be emotionally responsive to regulate their system. When we're soothed by another person, we start to build a nest of neurons that cradle the amygdala, our emotional alarm system, and we learn how to soothe ourselves through that experience. As children begin to integrate both social awareness and self-compassion, they begin to have more choice as they move out into the world. Distress hurts children in much the same way as physical pain, with the same parts of the brain being activated. Being sensitive to very subtle environmental changes, our son Rylan found it very difficult to be away from his parents, his secure neurochemical base, for even a very relatively short period of time. I remember one of his responses when he was invited to an activity used to be, "I can only go if you or dad go with me and stay, or I don't feel safe." So he rarely had an overnight away from home. And that was okay, because we were not in a rush. Over the years, we saw that Rylan did develop his ability to spend longer times apart from his dad and I at his own pace. He could go off to hang out with his friends or extended family because he trusted that we were always available as a secure base that he could return to for emotional refueling before going off to spend some time with his friends again. As we continued to respond with compassion and patience to his need for closeness, he naturally opened up to explore the world for greater lengths of time with confidence in his growing sense of self. I remember when I asked Rylan once, when he was a little older, how his time away from home went. He was still only about 12, maybe at that time. And he said, "Oh, when I get upset, I just say, 'Excuse me for a minute, I'll be right back.' And then I go out to the bathroom and I just cry. When I'm done, I wash my face and I go out like everything's okay." Hearing that from my son, I both celebrated and my heart broke wide open, because I saw my child demonstrating his social awareness and his ability to self-soothe. And I also celebrated that connection that allowed him to share that with me. At the same time, my heart broke open wide for the sensitivity of all children, especially for those who are not neurotypical, and their struggle to find their way in the world. They all need to be seen with compassion and understanding that supports their growing ability to self-regulate on their journey. I so long to live in a world that values that for all beings. Thanks for being on this journey with me today. Healing you.